Hello everybody, welcome to Steve McDonald's Arts and Crafts channel. I'm going to be sharing some hints and tips with you today. Firstly, I'm going to be making some blending solution. So I've got some 99% alcohol in this bottle, and I'm going to be adding to it some glycerin that I purchased from the local supermarket. And I'll be adding 4 drops of glycerin to the alcohol and just giving it a good shake. And when you think about the amount you're going to save, I buy a litre of alcohol for £9. That glycerin costs me 99 pence, and a small bottle of blending solution costs about £10. So it does save you quite a lot of money. Also, I had a friend at work tell me that because I'm using sellotape, it can bleed under it. So to use their electrical tape, so I bought 3 rolls of electrical tape for £2, and I've done the border with electrical tape. So we will see how that turns out at the end when I take this tape off. Now, I'm pushing that tape down well to ensure that it's got good contact with the paper. I bought these little shot glasses, which are meant for alcohol, of course. They cost me £1 for 50 of them, and I'm going to be mixing up my colours with them. So I got them from the same supermarket as I got the glycerin, and they're very easy to use. They're easy to clean out, and they're very reusable. And I am very conscious that about my use of plastics. So I don't want to have stuff that I'm just going to use once and throw away. That's why when I use plastic cups, I always make sure I use compostable cups for anything that I do. And these can be easily put in a compost heap or thrown away. And they will then degrade. So I'm adding a bit of sapphire blue here, and I mixed about 6 ml in those little pots to 4 drops of colour. I'm using my new airbrush that I know I don't use correctly because I use my thumb to use it, to spread it around. And I'm holding the airbrush further away from the Yupo paper to ensure that I don't get tendrils, because they make it look like flowers. And there's little Lily telling you that she pulls all the flowers up in the garden, which she does. Bless her. So I'm gently moving that around from a distance. Now, if you have ink in the middle and it's still quite wet, then you can get a little bit closer to the paper without it making too many tendrils, as you can see here. Now I'm going to add chili pepper red. Oh, apparently I've mixed up the bottles, so I do believe that this is Senorita Magenta rather than chili pepper red. And as I am colourblind, I do have to kind of track what I'm doing here. I'm spreading this out, and I've put quite a lot of this down because I want to have quite a large area of this, so that when I put the other colours on, they can blend into it. Now, as this ink is moving up to the sapphire blue, I'm not playing around with it too much. I'm really just letting it do its own thing. I absolutely love this Senorita Magenta. See, there's my cat telling me I'm still a fool. My cat absolutely hates me unless it's dinner time or he wants a brush. He always looks at me very indignantly as if I'm a fool. So here we go. I'm spreading that around now. Ah, there's Lily and Honey and Daisy having a little kiss. Now I'm going in with some bright yellow. And again, I will be blowing it just up to the edge of the sapphire blue to allow it to do its own thing. And there's my mum, their Nan, giving her a bit of love. They do love it when honey comes round. So putting a bit more of the Sunbright Yellow on there to spread that around. And as you can see, where that is doing its own thing and naturally really blending in and pushing that sapphire blue out the way, it's creating another colour. Just moving that around a little bit more so that you get a contrast with those colours. As you can see down there, I'm now using the chili pepper red. And that has stayed quite, even though it's been diluted, it has stayed quite a nice red. Again, I'm trying to avoid blowing it into the other areas too much. Since I got the arm to put my camera on, it is a lot more stable and allows my videos to be less moving about. And I would certainly recommend it. It was only about £7 from Amazon. I love Amazon. So again, this is where I've used that blending solution, and it does save you a small fortune. And evidently, Oscar, my cat, wants me to spend that money that I save on food for him. So I've made a couple of tendrils there, and I don't want tendrils in this picture, even though they look great with flowers. I don't want them on this picture. I want this more to be blending around and softer edges. So back in here with the Sunbright Yellow, and these are all Pinata inks that I'm using. I haven't tried any other inks yet. I will, because there are quite a few on the market, and they do different colours, so it'll be worthwhile having a look to see what other people do and how they work, really. And it's blended nicely into that that's Senorita Magenta, and it's drying that two-tone colour, which I really do like. So I'm going back in here with a little bit of blue because I don't want any white space here other than on the border when I take the electrical tape off. And it does give it a nice layering effect as well when it's dry. And remember, when you're using alcohol inks, it does dry quite differently and does continue to spread until it's dry than what you're seeing. And it's impossible to get two pictures alike. So everything that you create is individual. And again, sorry my hand's in the way here. It is because I have a static camera. But it does move in the end and you can see what happens to the ink. There we go. So I've gone back up here with a little bit of chili pepper red that I have left. Just going in with the airbrush and using that to move it around. Now, with the blending solution that I made, I don't want these heavy lines in it, and sometimes they look great, they give it atmosphere, and I'm putting this down just in drops and letting it really do its own thing. And I'm going to go round now and put it on some of the other edges where they've joined. And this in itself can give a really nice texture and pattern to the picture. Once it dried again, oh look, I've dropped a bit in there, so I'm going to have to do that. I am the most clumsiest person that ever walked the earth, I believe. There we go. I'm going around all where the colours join and putting dots of my homemade blending solution. It's really worth having a go at making it. It is so cheap. And I did buy a bottle of the other blending solution off Amazon, and it really didn't last too long, and I felt it was quite expensive. So I just looked online to see how to make it, and that recipe came up. So I thought, well, have a go. I'm sure other people have used it with great success. So as you can see, this is blending in nicely now, and it's giving quite a good effect. And what I could do, if I decided to here, is I could saturate a lot more areas and then allow that to dry. But there are areas, as I've said, as you're looking at the screen, in the right-hand corner and top left-hand corner, that I particularly like. So I don't want to change them too much. I'm just going over those heavier lines where they are. Again, they will dry slightly differently. So I was tempted to go back in there with the airbrush, as you saw, but I decided not to. I wanted to stand back from it, let it dry, and see what happens there. And I will speed this up because there's nothing worse than waiting to see paint dry. That's boring. So I will cut that out. And so this is the dried picture, and I have to say I'm really thrilled with this. As you can see, it has blended in really well, and there are areas here I specifically like this area. I don't like that hard line there. I specifically like that area. Oh, my little girls all saying they love me with honey. So what I'm going to go back in with my blending solution that I made, and I'm just going to soften up a couple of these lines. And again, let it do its own thing. And that is really one of the great things about alcohol inks. Once they're dry, you can just go in with the alcohol or blending solution and really reinvigorate those colours and bring them back to life to move around. So I want to make that softer, so I've gone in here with a clean brush, just moving it around while that's quite wet to allow that to be a softer colour. Now make sure you clean that brush on a bit of kitchen paper before going into another brush, because if not it will contaminate that colour and then turn it into a muddy colour. And you don't really want muddy colours, no one likes muddy. So if there's an area that you particularly feel that's too a hard line, you can dry off your brush and just go over that area with that brush and lift off a bit of that alcohol and soften it off, and that's what you can see me doing here. And if you don't want to use a brush, or you haven't got a brush available, then a Q-tip works just as well. While that alcohol is still wet, you can go in there and take that off. Daisy is a real nightmare with Q-tips. If you leave the box open in the bathroom or anywhere, she will take them out and eat them. Well, she doesn't eat them, just chews them up. So again, I'm going in here. Now, I've put a little bit of alcohol on this particular Q-tip, and I'm going over that. Now, be careful not to rub too hard when you've got alcohol on a Q-tip, because it will kind of lift that ink out completely and take you back to the Yupo paper and leave a real white mark, which is great if that's what you want, but I didn't want that here. So again, I'm going to just go through and soften that off a bit. And as you can see, that ink is being lifted off slightly, and I'm just making that a little bit softer around that area there, blending that in. I've taken a look at the picture now, and I feel that there are a couple of other areas where I also need to go in. Now, I do try to use a clean tip each time. So there we go, that's it dry, and I'm now just taking off the tape to see what the border is, and as you can see, it has produced a really nice clean border. much better than the sellotape, and it pulled off like a dream. It just came right off. There we go. That's without the tape on at all. So please, if you can, like and subscribe. And thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the tips, cheats, and savings. Thank you. Bye.